Shalom. Call hello, Yahweh Bashem Shai Bashem Kakwadash. Double honors unto the apostles and the elders. Salutations unto all my fellow laborers that do this work in truth and sincerity, risking their lives and their freedom to do so. All right, this is your brother Malcolm from the branch of the Great Millstone here in Chicago. And coming back at you with another lesson in truth. And video that I'm going to profile is one that I do believe was originally put up by the elder in Hawaii, Jim Ashihawada. And he found this clip of this Edomite just telling the truth. And that's the spirit that we're in. The truth is coming out like a flood, man. Like that scripture in 2nd Ezra, which I may read that toward the end. If the spirit allows it to come out. But this is let me start with Psalms, the book of Psalms 64 and 8, and it reads, "So that they shall make their own tongue to fall upon themselves, all that see them shall flee away. And men shall fear and shall declare the work of power, but they shall wisely consider his doing." So now everyone's looking at Esau with a microscope, man, because it's that vibration of their lie and their lies and their false history is in the earth, man, and there's no turning it back. All right, there is no turning it back. So without any further ado, let's let her video play, and then I'm going to go into a brief history. Show some relics and some different books and some information, and read some scripture just to solidify it all. So just click on any one of them.
One day. Why? Because when white people came to Africa, they came showing themselves as superior to the black people, digging out things that black people taught them. What we don't have in our history books is that the civilization we have in Europe today was brought to us by black people. Even black people don't know that. Even many black people don't know that. They don't know that the Moors, they were West Africans and North Africans and Central Africans that came to Europe and ruled Spain. They brought civilization to us. They showed us how to use soap, how to be clean, how to behave like a decent human being, All these things we didn't know that before the Moors brought civilization to Spain. Did you know that the Moors ruled in Spain for 700 years? Where is that in our history books? It's nowhere to be found. Because why? If you are giving black people that power of having once ruled over white people, wouldn't black people start kind of questioning, oh, we were once at that point of having such a power in a white man's country over white people, and where are we now? So of course they have to hide that history from you people, because knowing your true history is knowing your true power, and knowing your true power means you will break out from that system of racism as much as you can, because you can't. If white people will not stop racism, black people cannot stop being victims of racism. Okay, that sounds like I'm victimizing a black person, which I don't. The fact is, okay, I've said that before, I've used that example before, but I think it's just the perfect, it sums everything up. Okay, when you see a child that was sexually molested, or it mustn't even be a sexual molestation, if it was molested, would you walk up to that child and tell the child to stop whining about their molestation, stop crying about what happened to them and move on, because after all it was 5 years ago, your molester, is he not in prison? Can't you stop pulling the molester card and blah blah blah? Nobody would do that. No person that has senses would tell a child that was abused or molested to move on, or to even go out and fight against what happened to them. No, you will not do that. What you will do is you expect authorities to step up for that child and get justice on that child's behavior. But when it comes to racism, we be all in our feelings like, oh, but I'm not racist. I never owned slaves. My neighbor's cousin is black. I can't be racist. But it is not like that. I've seen white women raising black children, having black husbands, and they are still racist. So you mingling with all the black people in the world is not going to make you less racist. That is just the point. That's because in the society, we were not raised to understand what racism really means. We were only raised to define racist, non-racist, based on the fact, are you against foreigners or are you not against foreigners? And that is not even, that is just like the tip of the iceberg.
Notice, she did not say having mixed children. She said she knows Edomite women having Israelite babies and are still racist. Okay? Notice she said that. And she also said you wouldn't walk up to a child that has been molested and tell a child to get over it. Your molester is in jail or have already been in jail. Get over it. All right? But Esau always wants us to forget what was done to us as a people. And as if as if it has no effect on us still to this day. And as if the programs that they put in place to suppress us still to this day with their wicked court systems, you know, with their draconian law, as if it doesn't have an effect on us to this day. But a woman can scream "Me Too" over something that happened 20 years ago and somebody goes to jail. Unless it's the other way around, you know. Everyone's heard the story now about Chief Keef being 17 and a 37-year-old woman who had his baby. And, you know, and all these years later, she's trying to hit him on child support when she should actually be in jail for having sex with a minor, according to the laws in America. Seems to be a double standard, you know. But they won't take R. Kelly's name out of the news, though. But let's let her continue.
That's so. So when you come up with white people,
when blackamoors first introduced, bathed into Europeans, she did not want to take.
But what they don't tell you is that it was the Moors that translated the works of the Greeks, who then taught the European Aristotle. See, we don't know that. We think that Europeans sat and studied Aristotle. They didn't. They couldn't read. The time of Moorish Spain, 99% of Europe was illiterate. Kings and queens could not read and write. They were living in barns. You see all these castles that they say these kings, those were castles built by Moors that when Europeans moved out and moved further south upon attack by Christians, they took over those. They didn't build those castles and all that other stuff. Moat with alligators. Ain't no alligators in Europe. So how you even going to put alligators in the moat if you don't have the animal in your backyard in the first place? You see?
Facts. All right? I'm going to go into some things to solidify what he said. But first, let me get a couple more scriptures on this this Edomite woman speaking. All right? What you witnessed, what she did was devastating to the men of her nation. This is Job 27:15. Those that remain of him shall be buried in death, and his widows shall not weep. All right? His widow's not going to weep for him, man. Okay? And she's blaming him for all the issues. Point blank, period. This is Jeremiah 49:11. And it reads, leave thy fatherless children, I will preserve them alive, because they have to serve slavery. And let thy widows trust in me. All right? So Esau is losing, man. They're losing, and there's no turning back. Okay? None whatsoever. Now, as for what he was saying, he talked about the Moors. She spoke about the Moors, and so did he. And how they had a 700-year rule. Well, I got news for you. It wasn't just the Moors. The Moors are Israelites, nonetheless. All right? They were Israelites who converted to Islam. And the Morenos were also Moors, if you want to call them that, who were referred to as the secret Jews, because they were still keeping the law, statutes, and commandments. All right? And they'll give you that definition about a pig or something like that. But when you go to the etymology of the word Moreno, the etymology is going to tell you that a Moor was a Jew. A Moreno was a Jew or a Moor. in Spain, in Christian Spain. During what time? During this very period that we're talking about. All right. This is from the book Christopher Columbus.
Whenever you see lions, you know you're dealing with Africa, even in the Wizard
Wait
of
a
Oz.
minute.
When you hear people saying they threw people to the lions, you...
Christopher Columbus and the participation of the... Let me pull out. There we go. Christopher Columbus and the participation of the Jews in the Spanish and Portuguese discoveries. That's this book. Page... I'm starting at 57, page 57 at the bottom here. And it reads, after 7 years conflict comparable only with the Trojan War, Granada fell into power of Spain. On Friday, January 2nd, 1492, the Spanish standard first floated over the highest tower of the old Moorish palace. Like he said, the Moors, the Negroes, so-called, the Israelites, built those castles that are all throughout Florence and all that. They built that when you go there. And the two sovereigns ceremoniously entered and conquered the Moorish capital. On the same day, Ferdinand announced all the cities of the kingdom that after great conflicts which had cost much noble blood, it had pleased God to allow the Christian armies to vanquish the Moors. Since the conquest of Granada, the papal gratitude had permitted the ruler of Spain to bear the title His Most Catholic Majesty. In the cities of Spain, the fall of the Moorish dominion and the triumph of the Christian religion was celebrated with songs rejoicing. The Jews went about in sorrow with bowed heads, for the conquest of the Muslims also decided their fate. So what makes you think that so why would the fall of a bunch of Negro Moors decide the fate of a bunch of Edomite Jewish? You see the correlation? It makes no sense, because the Jews, the real Jews, were still there. And matter of fact, they were among some of the wealthiest amongst the Moors. All right. It says, the Jews went about in sorrow with bowed heads, for the conquerors of the Muslims also decided their fate, in spite of the important part which they had played in securing the victory. From the palace of Alhambra, the Catholic queen soon issued a cruel edict of their expulsion. All right. The priest Cardinal Jimenez de los Cisneros, the very learned Grand Inquisitor, who wished to turn all Moors to Jews into Christians, persecuted the Morenos with the most rigor. Moreno. All right, when you go to the Etymology Online Bible, it's going to give you the definition of Moreno. You know what it's going to tell you? It's going to turn you a Jew and a Moor converted to Christianity in the 1600s. I mean, in the 1400s Spain. That's what the definition is. Point blank, period. All right, I actually kept that definition in my old Bible. I don't have it in this one. I kept that definition for a very long time for that reason, just to prove that point, man. All right, facts. Facts. You can't get around it. Okay? Then he went on to say, this professor here, Dr. Booker T. Coleman, all right? Because he knows a lot, but then, he doesn't acknowledge his Hebrew heritage. I know he's got a lot to do with. He knows that the Israelites was a black race of people, but he tries to make a separation between the Moors, the Negroes, and the Africans. All right, and Africans, what he doesn't acknowledge is the Hebrew migration into West Africa, and how West Africa is full of Hebrews. As far as from the stuff that I seen from him, just he could have said it in other teachings or whatever, but from what I've heard, or they try to make everybody black the same, and they're not. All right, but this is a book that I've really yet to go into, that a fellow Reubenite brother gave me. Is called the Image of Black the image of the black in Western art, from pharaohs to the fall of the Roman Empire. See? Why? Because the Negroes were there when Rome fell, because the Rome fell because of so-called Negroes, man. Something they don't want to, they don't like to share with you. And on this page 260, we have images here. All right. 259, statuette of young orator from the Char Soron Hellenistic period, bronze, Boston Museum of Fine Arts. 260, statuette of young athlete, Hellenistic period, bronze, 18.3 centimeters, New York Metropolitan Museum, statuette of captive slave. Nobody makes images of their slaves. All this is explained in the Apocrypha in the book of Maccabees. All right. Bronze period, height 13.2 centimeters, Paris Musée de Louvre. All right. And this book is just full of images like that. One of these days I'm gonna just go into this book. But let's read some history here that this professor has never brought out. All right, the connection between the Israelites and the Moors here. I think it was right. Is it first or second Maccabees? It's like maybe it was second Maccabees. Yes, this is Second Maccabees 6, and I'm gonna start at verse 4, and it reads, the temple was filled with riot and the reveling of the Gentiles who dallied with harlots and had to do with women within the circuit of the holy places. This was just disgusting. And besides that, brought in things that were not lawful. The altar was also filled with profane things which were forbidden of the law. Neither was it lawful for a man to keep the Sabbath days or ancient feasts or profess himself to be a Jew. That was your Hellenistic period right there. All right? That was your Hellenistic period, because you remember it was a 400-year period of time of captivity under the Greeks and the Hellenization of the Jews, which you just saw images of. Those were Israelites in Greece who were still in Rome. All right? And they had been completely and totally Hellenized. One of the scriptures that you can read to substantiate that and prove that is in the book of Acts. Okay? Let's go to the book of Acts. Was it 9 and 29? Let's go there. I believe it's 6 and 11 and 9 and 29. Two go-to scriptures for that point. But it says, and he spake boldly in the name of Lord Yahushua and disputed against the Grecians, but they went about to slay him. All right. Okay, so those Grecians were Greek-speaking Jews. Those were the Hellenists or the Hellenista. All right? Point blank period. Acts 6 and 1. And in those days, where the number of the disciples were multiplied, there arose a murmuring of the Grecians against the Hebrews, because their widows were neglected in the daily ministration. Why? Because those Hellenists were also Hebrews. They just had Greek names and haircuts like Greek, and we saw them naked and all that other stuff. You know, they had those dreads, those locks in their hair. They were doing things in a heathenish fashion, man. It's as simple as that. Because they could have easily put Hellenist in the Bible right there. Because when you look it up, the word Grecian, that's what it means. It tells you that Hellenist was a Greek-speaking Jew. But they put the word Grecian there on purpose, so that you try to associate them with the Edomite Greek. All right? And even this very image shows you how it was translated from the Edomites to the so-called Negroes. All right? That's what happened. Or or it was translated from dark Japhetic people to Edomite people, because that land was full of, and eventually before Alexander took it over, was full of Japhetic people, who are also a dark fleshed people, whom are neither African nor Israelite, so-called African Hamites. Okay, 2 more scriptures and we'll wrap this up. This is Psalms, not Psalms, but 2nd Ezra 68. Look like it is going to come out after all. So not 68, but 6 and 28. And it reads, no. I was on the wrong page. I'll start at 27, 6 and 27. For evil shall be put out, and deceit shall be quenched. As for faith, it shall flourish. Corruption shall be overcome, and the truth, which have been so long without fruit, shall be declared. Truth is being declared, man. Point blank, period. And we know you don't like it, and we don't give a damn. All right? And especially with you wicked, jakes, man, like them wicked, we dusting off the feet of the place that we taught these last couple weeks. Them niggas out there threatening to shoot and kill and all kind of crazy mess. Get off our block. What you gonna do for the youth? We're giving you the best gift that can be given, idiot. And you saying what we gonna do? All right. And then the one idiot walks up and says, "Hey, Israel is the truth." Arguing with us about Israel is the truth. We're like, brother, that's why we're out here. Then within barely 60 seconds later, he threatening how he gonna knock somebody out, which he would have got his little butt broken too. But hey, this is Proverbs 1 and 21, and it reads, "She crieth in the chief place of concord." Now I'm starting 20. "Wisdom crieth without; she uttereth her voice in the streets." All right. "She crieth in the chief place of concourse in the openings of the gates," and that's right where we were, at the opening of the gates where people pass through. "In the city she uttereth her words. How long, ye simple ones, will you love simplicity? And the scorners delight in scorning, and the fools hate knowledge." And that's exactly what those idiots were. Those fools were rejecting and hating knowledge, man. And the Lord is going to hate and reject them. All right, just like he's going to hate and reject these Edomites, man. All right. So with that, I want to give all praises, glory, and honor unto Yahweh, by Hashem, Yahweh Shai, by Hashem, Wakar Kodash, Wa Abba Babal.